Hello again. I'm back with another clock to repair, and this one is rather different for me. It's a pocket watch style hanging wall clock. It's made by United, and the small print at the bottom of the dial reads the United Clock Corporation of Brooklyn, New York. I do know that that company was in business making clocks somewhere from about 1931 to 1960, mostly what you would call novelty clocks. I got this one on eBay. It ran, it was less than $10, and I thought it was really cool, and I went for it. But I have to say, it's in just awful condition. The glass is loose in here. The whole clock mechanism is floating around. Obviously, this power cord is cut. What I'm also noticing is that when I turn it over to the back, it does read manufactured by the United Clock Corporation of Brooklyn, New York, and this is model number 370. And there's a hole in the back here with the power cord coming out of it, and I saw this clock on a few sites that show the power cord coming from this hole on the bottom. So I don't know who set it up like this. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it to work, but it should be fun trying. The first thing I want to do, though, is check to see if the wiring is intact. So let me test it with my ohm meter. Just touch the lead to the ends of the wire here. And I have numbers flashing, so it's intact, and hopefully I should be able to repair this one. The first thing to open it up, just a couple of nuts on the back here. I can almost take these off by hand. Oh, that fell right off. Well, the screws, the nuts came off, but there we go. Let's push that through a little bit. Oh, here's the glass, the rim. Well, you know what? I think I'm going to, let's take this tape off of here so I can get the wire through the hole. I don't want to cut it off just yet. Okay, let's cut that. It's being kind of stubborn. Let me work more on getting this tape off, and then I'll continue. Okay, I've removed the tape, and what a mess of a connection was made here. I don't know who wired this together thinking that was the way to do it, but let's see if I can pass the wire through the back now. Oh, okay. Now this motor, this is a sessions clock motor. And I do recall that at some point, I believe that this United Clock Corporation either merged or was bought out by Sessions. But apparently, well, what I'm going to do next, it's not apparent yet, but I'm going to undo these wire nuts, attach a new wire, and let's see if it runs. So let me work on that. And another strange thing is, whoever did the wiring job, with this sort of a rubber grommet already present for a power cord to pass through, why somebody actually drilled a hole here for the power cord, because the other models of this that I saw online, that hole is not present on the back of them. And this is pretty easy to find if you go on, if you just Google this type of clock, there's a lot of them out there. Anyway, back to work on attaching the power cord. I've connected the wire. Let me just put on the wire nut. Okay, let me plug it in and turn it on. And it looks like it's running. How about that? So now the challenge is going to be, and I may have to clean up the gears in here, it's a little bit noisy. The challenge is going to be cleaning up this portion of it. This is chrome. It'd be nice if I can polish it up. But let me get to work more on taking this apart, cleaning up the hands and the dial. So take this apart for now. And let's see how easy it is to remove the second hand. A little tight. Okay, I'm not going to force these off. I'm going to do what I usually do is, and that's apply a little bit of WD-40 here. Let it soak in. I don't want to have to force anything, so let me get that. I just spray a little in this cap and brush it on. And I'll just give it 5 or 10 minutes to let it soak in, and then I'll try to remove the hand. I also want to mention, I just noticed on the inside of the case is written 1258. So I'm pretty sure this clock was made in December of 1958. Anyway, we'll give that some time to loosen up. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes. Let me give it another try. Very good. Let me gather these parts here. Let's see if this one comes off a bit more easily. And the hour hand. Kind of surprisingly tight for such what I think is an inexpensive clock. There we go. Next we have the dial. See if that comes off. It's made out of paper. I'm not sure if this washer just might be stuck to it, and that's preventing me from removing it. However, I think I can remove the entire motor from this side. I just lift it out that way. There's a couple of nuts here I have to undo, so let me start to work on that. It'll take a few minutes to loosen these and remove them, so once they're off, then I'll continue. I've removed the 3 of them, and they're really covered in a lot of dirt and grease. Let's see what happens when I lift this up now. All right, so that just removes the motor. A lot of grease and oil here too. And we have 3 more nuts over here. These should be easier to remove because they have access, I think. If I have the right size. That's too big. Let me rummage around and see if I have the right size. There we go. It's amazing how much oil and dirt is on all of these parts. This one is not turning so easily. Okay, plan B. Oh, I see. There's a spring on the set knob here pushing this plate up. I have to be careful taking it off. I don't want the gears to go flying out. There we go. Now, as I usually do, I'll just take a few photos as I take these apart so I know exactly how everything goes back together. So let me work on that and then I'll continue. Okay, I'll zoom in so you can see how this comes apart. Here's 1. 2, 3, 4, and this one in the center. And the one thing I'm noticing is how incredibly full of grease and oil and dirt. Every gear really coated with it. Other thing I'm noticing is the little washer on the front of the dial, it's riveted into place, so that's not coming off. Another thing that I've noticed is on these screw posts, there's a cardboard tube on this one, but it's missing from here. And what this does is it prevents the dial from going too far into the case. That cardboard tube hits the screw and it only falls in so far. So I need to come up with a replacement. And seeing how this is a threaded stem all the way, if I have a nut that fits this, I can position it to the same height as the cardboard, and that should work out. Another thing I want to do to make this a bit easier to handle is there's a screw at the top of the knob here. I'm just going to remove this whole chain from here as well. And I'm also going to put all of these parts in my ultrasonic with some nice hot soapy water. I like to use Dawn dish detergent. It really cuts through the grease. So let me work on getting everything cleaned up. I've cleaned all the parts. I also positioned a nut over the stem here and set it at the same height as the cardboard spacer here. So I think that'll work out. And when you're cleaning all of these, what you have to be careful of is a lot of times parts will be stuck together from all the grease and oil. For example, this one here I thought was one part. Turns out this slides out. So it could be easy to lose some of these between the ultrasonic and rinsing them off in a sink. So you got to be careful. What I want to do now is let's see if I can reposition everything. Start with this. 2, 3. This goes here. This one on top. I think this one goes this way. There we go. And then the plate. Next, I need to secure it with the 3 nuts. Let me do that, and then I'll continue. The plate is secured. Another thing I did that I did not show was using some synthetic clock oil and one of my oil pins. I applied a little bit to the pivots of each gear, both where they entered the holes in the plates, top and bottom. And next, I have to seat the motor. Okay, now I'll secure this with the 3 nuts, and then I'll continue. The motor is secured. What I want to do next is clean up the glass, polish the rim, then I can seat the hands and reassemble everything. But what I've noticed is this clock must have taken a real beating to knock the glass loose and the clock from inside the case, because to put this together, the glass has to fit in the rim, and I can't do that yet because the rim is bent around the edges, and that's what holds in the glass as well as the dial. I can't really seat this snug. I have to bend out these tabs, secure everything, and then bend them back in. So that'll take a little time. Let me work on that, and then we'll continue. I've adjusted the rim a little bit, just enough to slip the glass in. And next I have to seat the dial back in. I've already placed the hour and the minute hand. I just have to put on the second hand. And now I'll try to maneuver this in here as well. Now I may have to adjust the rim a little bit more to get this in. And again, it's going to take a few minutes perhaps, so let me work on it more. And once I have it positioned, then I'll continue. I managed to seat the dial. My concern with it was if I bend this rim too much, I think there was a real risk in cracking the glass. So I had to be very slow, very gentle, but it's in. The next step, I will have to attach a power cord here. Before doing that, I would be running it through the case. But before I do that, much of the way I polished up the chrome rim, I want to do the same thing to the case. Let me polish it up, clean it up as much as I possibly can. So I'll work on that next. I've polished the case. I don't know if it'll look as good on video as it does in person, but it came out really nice. Has a great shine to it. In fact, it came out so good that I ended up polishing the knob that sits on top, as well as the handle, and even the chain. So what I'm going to do next is, now I can attach the power cord. And to do that, I have to run it through the case. And then I want to place a small knot in it And there's going to be enough room in this case that I can just use wire nuts. Okay, now we'll see how easy it is to get this into the case. The 12 is here, the 12 is there. The challenge is getting these posts through the hole is one, and I think I got it. Okay, how about that? All right. I forgot one thing though. Let me undo it. Funny. What I have to do first, attach all this hardware. So let me work on that. To save some time, I'm just going to reattach all of this on my own, get the clock back into the case, and then I'll be ready to continue. Everything's back together. Let me plug it in, turn it on, and there you have it, a United pocket watch style hanging wall clock. It's from 1958. The next thing I want to do is find a good spot on a wall to hang it up, and we'll see just how good it looks. I found a spot for it. It's up and it's running. Definitely a most unusual looking clock. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please feel free to check out some of my others, and any questions and comments on this one or any others is always welcome. That pretty much wraps things up. Bye for now.